What about the new commandment that Jesus was talking about? Doesn't Jesus know what he's saying? Of course he does. And this is one of those instances where it's important to talk about context of what Jesus was saying. See, we find that story of the new commandment Jesus gave to the disciples in John chapter 13, verse 34. He says, "A new commandment I give unto you, that you love one another." But what was Jesus doing? Well, he was having Passover that evening with the disciples. That was Thursday evening, just a few hours before his abuses and sufferings and his trials began, leading up to his crucifixion. But what was also going on that night? We skip over to Luke 22, and we find in that same order of events, the disciples were having another discussion, another argument about who's the greatest, who's going to sit next to the Messiah at his glorious earthly kingdom. Because remember, up to this point, they still didn't realize he was going to be crucified, even amidst the amount of untold times that Jesus told them what was going to happen. And so they still got it in their heads. Jesus is going to overthrow the Romans. I'm going to sit next to him on his throne. No, I'm going to sit next to him. You're going to be the servant. No, I'm going to be the greatest. And so Jesus has to take them aside. And in Luke 22, Jesus also says, look, guys, this isn't okay. This isn't what I've taught you to do. The Gentiles, the unbelievers act this way. They lord it over each other. They say, I'm the one in charge. You have to do what I say. You exist for my benefit, not the other way around. But Jesus is saying that's not how it will be with you. If you want to be great, Jesus says, you got to be a servant. You got to take the place of a servant. And that's the example that Jesus gave that night of the Passover with his disciples, that final Passover he ever celebrated. He took the place of a servant. He washed their feet. It humiliated them, not in a derogatory way. It really destroyed their arrogance. It destroyed that argument about who was the greatest. And so when Jesus came along and says, "A new commandment I give unto you, that you love one another," where was he getting that from? It wasn't the first time the Bible says love one another. We see it in Leviticus 19, verse 18. You will love your neighbor as yourself. It's like the concept of buying a used car. It's new to you, but it's used. In other words, that commandment wasn't brand new. It was just new to them. And when you study the context of love your neighbor, all 10 commandments are listed. Same with when Jesus said, love God with all your heart. All 10 commandments are listed. Hope that helps.